things. How can we observe and measure certain characteristics about living things? And we do that with a process called the scientific method. And so this is the study part. That's the part we're going to focus on today. The scientific method, the sequential process by which scientists, not just biologists, let this person in, study life. That's the goal for today. Scientific method. Okay. Here we go. So it's kind of annoying. It gets in the way there, but okay. So like I said, the scientific method, it's a step-by-step process, very specific, and I'm gonna write it out here on the board. Okay, and the first step of the scientific method is observation. Okay, so let's write that here. Okay. So an observation really is just something that we notice in the world and record and see. So we're going to do an example, one of my favorite examples to use. And so an example of an observation, if we are looking at plants are my favorite example to use. We can say, if we're looking at, let's say, a field of crops, maybe, an agricultural field, we can say that some plants grow more than others. We observe that. So let's write that down. I'll do green since we're talking about plants. Okay, I'm gonna move this. Okay, so our observation is that some plants grow more than others. Some plants grow more than others. So in science, in biology, the observation is typically something that is going to lead to us solving a problem. That's what scientists want to do. An observation might be people are getting sick from COVID-19. That's an observation. People are dying from this infectious disease. And so we seek out to solve problems like that. They could even be something in biotechnology, manufacturing, drug development. So an observation, especially for this example, and even just kind of, like I said, biotechnology and maximizing profits in an industry. And let's just say we're a farmer and we want to use science to maximize the amount of crops that we grow. We want to make as much or get as much produce as we can. So the next step in the scientific method, our observation will lead to the second step here, which is a question. We ask a question. So let's do that. So like I said, a farmer might be interested in asking the following question. The farmer will observe that some plants grow more than others. The farmer wants as much plants grown as possible, or I would rather, he or she wants the plants to grow as much as possible, to get as much crops as the farmer can get, to make more money, for example. So the farmer is going to ask, how can I grow my plant as much as possible? So how can, and I'm going to just write, how can I maximize plant growth, just to keep it shorter. How can I maximize plant growth? That's the question. Okay. Now, as the slide showed, the third step, scientific method, is the hypothesis step. And a couple things about the hypothesis. Well, the first is that a hypothesis, just as a sort of definition, is an educated guess. It is a guess or a proposed explanation for the observation and answering the question. So really what you ask a question in everyday life, just to anybody about anything, and sometimes you'll make a guess. That's what a hypothesis is. It's just a guess that answers this question. But keep in mind, I emphasize that it's an educated guess. It's not just some random, out of the blue guess that makes little sense. So the question, how can I maximize plant growth? A bad hypothesis, or one that's not